So what are the best remote jobs out there if you want to live outside of the US while making US money? Now, my whole life changed when I realized that worldwide, the average income is about $9,733. While, for example, the median income in America is about $37,585. Now, you know what that means? It basically means that if you're able to just make the medium amount of money in the US, right? But make that while you're living somewhere else, for example, you could be making 3 times to almost 4 times more than the average person does. Basically saying, right? You could live a pretty amazing life outside of the US only if you make the medium income. And that is awesome. So I hope this video actually helps you. And by the way, if you're wondering, Tommy, where do you live? If you guys don't know, I live in Dominican Republic, and where I live right now and my current expenses, and I'm even married, okay, I'm married, I spend about $1,000 a month. I can live off that. And then if I want to be fancy, like about $1,200 a month. That includes the apartment, includes the food, the travel, the gas, the insurance, the healthcare, just about everything, and it's only about $1,200. Now, can you imagine trying to live on $1,200 in the US? Not possible. So that's the whole goal for this video, to actually get you to make this possible. Now, I'm gonna give you guys 8 ideas in this video, and the whole goal is to make enough to live a pretty good lifestyle outside of the US while making, for example, US money. That's the whole idea. So let's get started. The very first thing, guys, is this, guys, okay? A lot of the times we have ideas that I need a remote job, I need one, but we don't really think about the opportunity we actually have right now. If you have a job currently, you could always try to negotiate your position from being, for example, a physical job to a remote position, whether it's as a W-2 employee or whether as a 1099 employee. You have to talk to your employer, and you also, before you talk to your employer, I would watch a lot of videos on YouTube and do research and read blogs, because there are negotiation tactics to go about this via a trial basis where they have you work hybrid maybe and have you try different things out just to show that you can be as productive or more productive from home, okay? And that could actually help you out a lot, because that basically means you don't need to go ahead and find a new job, learn a new skill, or take a risk in a way, because you already have the job, you know how to work the job, and you already know the people. So if you're able to take that job and do remote, that could earn you the same amount of money that you make right now, well, from home. Or even, you could potentially even earn less, because it all depends on how much money you need. Earn less, but be able to work from home and be somewhere else and basically have that money be a lot more. Now, number 2, and I want to get this out of the way early in the video, is going to be programmer and website developers. These jobs, obviously, they're known for being remote mostly. A lot of these jobs can be done remote. My friend does it remote. And my friend, for example, he makes a lot of money. But he has like a hybrid position, because I think once in a week he has to go to the office, or like twice in a week to the office, but the rest of the time is just fully remote. But one thing I noticed about my friend is that when he's working, he has to really work. It's not one of those jobs where you can basically get away with putting in 4 hours and then just spending the rest of the day doing whatever you want. It's not one of those jobs. So it takes a lot of skill, it earns you a lot of money, but it also consumes a lot of time. So if your goal is, yeah, I want to basically leave the US, earn enough money to work a little bit, and basically just be able to take care of everything, then one of these jobs is probably not going to be for you, because you can earn a lot of money, but it is going to cost you a lot. However, though, it could be used as a stepping stone, because if you're able to bring in $150,000 from these jobs, because they make a lot of money, and you're able to live, for example, in a foreign country while you're actually making that much money, although you have to put in a full 8 hours, you could use that money to invest, to have a house, and to just get everything sorted. So at a certain point, you could actually not have to work at all right? Because that's also a good idea potentially, okay? Now, number 3, guys, is going to be an executive virtual assistant. Now, it's exactly what it sounds like, okay? An executive virtual assistant is you basically virtually from home assisting someone, whether it's like a billing person, an accountant, whether it's an executive, whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's an editor. You could be assisting a number of different people with different styles and different areas of expertise in a way, okay? So it all depends. So I had a virtual assistant before when I was actually doing drop shipping, and I paid her about like $5 to $3 per hour, and she was living in the Philippines. And guess what? She was making good money because she was actually able to just get $5 an hour, which is about like 5 times 8 is 40, if I'm not mistaken, like $40 a day, which is a lot of money over there, right? But I'm not telling you to get $5 an hour, because these jobs can range from 20 to 35 to 50 to even $100,000, depending on what you're actually doing, okay, and who you're actually assisting. So you actually, there's a great book on it. Well, not a great book on it, but a book that mentions it, and it's called The 4-Hour Work Week. And I recommend that book to anyone that's trying to do, like, for example, remote work and also living outside of the US, because it kind of teaches you exactly how to value your time, and also gives you resources to find those types of jobs, okay? So it's a great book. It's a great career in a way if you do virtual assistant, but I do recommend that if you do it, that you just don't have one person you're actually assistant, but you have several, because you could get fired, right? And then you don't want to be fired and looking for another client. You actually want to have a few of them, so that way you have a little bit more safety as far as your job in a way and your income. Now, number 4, guys, is going to be being an online teacher. Obviously, to do this, you're going to need experience for the most part in teaching, or having at least an associate's degree. A lot of these websites do require that, but there are websites online that have you teach people English and earn like $10 an hour to $20 an hour. And again, this does not sound like a lot of money, but the average person works about 2,000 hours in a year. So that times 10 is about 20,000. Times 20, it's about $40,000 a year, right? So you could actually earn a lot of money while being outside of the US, and that could be more than enough. Wow. If you don't want to, for example, teach English, you could actually do tutoring, which is a little bit more seasonal. For example, if you want to do math, or you want to do ACT tutoring, or whatever tutoring you actually want to do, you're actually able to do that virtually. Or even, for example, I just came up with this one. You could be teaching, for example, like online lessons on instruments and so on, right? So that's also a possibility. And not just take it from, hey, I'm just going to teach English all the time, to maybe even if you want to do like an online English course, you could do that. Or if you want like a companion course or a companion book where you say, hey, I teach English, I'm going to teach you, but this is my companion booklet, I sell it for $10. And that way you can actually have some extra income. Or for example, hey, I have lessons I do on guitar, but here's my course on guitar too, okay? So that we could actually learn a piano, whatever it is, okay? That's also an idea, because there's always other ways to kind of just extend your income sources. You can go from, yeah, I teach English, I sell booklets, I have courses, and these are all different sources within the same category, right? So it's not like extra work, for example, or having to learn a whole brand new skill. Then we have, for example, number 5 is going to be video editing. I've actually hired editors before here on this channel, and editors can make a lot of money, but it could also be a very tough job if you take it the wrong way. So here's what I mean, okay? Video editing, you don't have to go to college to do this stuff. You can basically just learn it on YouTube for free, and you can use free software like DaVinci. But for the most part, the whole idea is when you're taking on work, make sure you're not doing it per hour. Per hour sounds like the best way to actually do it, because, hey, if I have a job and I'm getting paid $25 an hour, or like $30, $50 an hour, I'll just basically take longer on these videos and basically just make a little bit more money. But again, we're back to the same issue. The only way to make more money is to spend more time doing it. While if you get paid per job, you might get paid less money, for example, but you actually get done with things a lot faster. So if a video usually takes you to edit, like, let's say like an hour, but you're basically stretching it to 2 hours, right? Because you want to make more income. While a job can make you, for example, like $30, and you're basically done in 30 minutes or like an hour, then boom, you're done with it. And you have an extra hour or an extra hour and a half to do what you actually want with the day, okay? So video editing is great, but it is one of those fluctuating jobs. So I do recommend you have some real connections to do this. and you actually have some stability before you choose to actually leave, because it's kind of like a freelancing job. It's not like steady in a way, right? So you got to be very careful with this. So just know that. Now, number 6, guys, is going to be marketing specialist, okay? Now, this does not mean I know how to use Instagram, I have a few followers on TikTok. It's not that. It's actually having plans as far as like marketing and knowing how it actually works and how to manage marketing for like an entire company and so on, right? So it's a real thing. It's like a real legit career. So you do have to have some requirements for this stuff, either, for example, past experience or a degree potentially and so on. But I've seen work that goes from like $30,000 a year to like $70,000 to $100,000 a year. And I would always say, it sounds attractive when you hear, well, if I make $100,000 a year and I live outside of the U.S., I could basically live in a mansion. But that's not the goal. If you try to go for that, remember, you're probably gonna land yourself in a place where you have a very stressful job where it requires a lot from you. You earn a lot of money and you get to spend it, but you don't even really get to enjoy it. So I prefer personally that if I'm stuck between a job that makes me 100K and one that makes me 30K, and this one allows me to work 4 hours instead of 8 hours, and it's also enough, more than enough. For example, like in DR, Dominican Republic, making 30K a year is like enough to pay everything and still have like $10,000 left over every single year. So I'd probably take that job rather than the $100,000 job, because it's enough and it gives me more and I'm able to have more time. That's just my perspective. I value my time a lot more than I value money, because I can always make more money, but I can't ever get more time. Now we actually have number 7 here, and that's going to be customer service / support. This one I don't like. I actually hate it, but you can use it again for a stepping stone, right? To actually build into something. The reason I don't like customer service and over the phone help or whatever is because you have to be physically present for like 6-8 hours every single day. So again, there's not much leeway in this job because you're constantly taking calls, you're being recorded, your performance being tracked, and you have to be there. You have to be there. But I like jobs where it's not like I'm trying to basically not work hours a day, right? That's not the point. But sometimes, you ever been in a job, for example, I had a job back in New York once, and it was like data entry. And my job would literally take me about 4 hours. And when I was done with the job, they would actually give me more work. And I noticed like, hey, I'm done in 4 hours. My colleagues are done like in a whole work day, and I'm getting twice as much work as they do because I'm being like basically productive, right? So you know what that made me do? It made me stop being productive and say I'm just gonna take the whole 8 hours. But if I can actually have a job from home where I can be fully productive and say, hey, I'm gonna get this job done that takes the whole day for most people in 4 hours. I'm still being efficient, I'm still being productive, I'm still delivering what the company actually wants, but I also still got to have a bunch of time free. Now, number 8, guys, here, which is the last one here, and I left it as the last because I want you guys to consider this, but you have to also consider the risk. It's going to be, for example, a content writer, a blogger, or for example, even like a YouTuber, or doing something with like social media. These are entrepreneurial skills in a way because YouTube can take a long time to actually build into anything. So can content writer and like a blogger. These are all things that you actually have to build, so it can take time. And when you actually build them out, you actually want to make sure they're stable before you actually go ahead and move yourself out of the country. Okay, so that's my recommendation, guys. It's not complicated to actually do this. And what I would do is, once you get the remote job, just move and get, like, for example, an Airbnb and like try things out, okay? And have some savings and so on. Because either way, if you move to an Airbnb while you have a remote job, just like to try things out, you're not going to be spending more money than you would in the US either way, right? So you're still saving money and you're still getting to try things out and to know if that type of lifestyle is actually for you. Guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope it actually helps you. If you have more ideas on things you could actually do from outside of the US, let me know in the comments down below. See you guys next time, and